I want to test Archons against every single Terran units. Both teams are on equal supply, all units on +2 armor and attack upgrades. We start with the Marine. Attack, stim. Tanks in siege mode. Attack. Tanks in tank mode. Go. Thors. Widow mines.
Eradicate.
Battlecruisers. Ghosts. Attack. EMP. Liberators. Attack. Vikings. Attack. Banshees. Yo dudes, and if you liked the video so far, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. We have now reached Banshees. Attack. Placing some turrets. Marauders. Attack. Stim. Hellions. Attack. Hellbats. Cyclones with activated mag field accelerator. Go. I'm microing. The final test, Reapers, go. Throwing some mines. Yo, and I made this Excel sheet to summarize the results. So in this bar chart, you see if you have a red bar, this means the Archon won, and the blue bar indicates that the opponent won, and the length of the bar represents the remaining winner supply, okay? So for example, the Marine won with 3 Archons remaining. This is 12 supply, so here we have a bar length of 12, okay? And what we see is the Archon wins against the Marine. Yeah, the Archon has a bonus damage against biological, and the Archon also has splash damage. The Marine is vulnerable to both. Then we have a small win for the Archon against the tank in tank mode. We also have a win against the Viking. Yeah, the Viking, if anything, the Viking only should be used against mechanical units. It has bonus damage against mechanical, which the Archon is not. The Archon also wins against the Banshee. I mean, the Banshee, it clumps up vulnerable to splash damage, and it is a low health unit, only has 135 health. Then the Archon also wins against the Marauder. So the Marauder is a biological unit. It takes bonus damage from the Archon, and the Marauder itself doesn't deal a lot of damage against the Archon because the Archon is not armored. And the Hellion and Hellbat also lose very hard with a remaining supply of 24 Archon. So all Archons survive. And yeah, the Hellion, I mean, it's generally a low health and also low damage unit. It's only good against workers and Zerglings maybe. The Hellbat is a unit that counts as biological, so it takes bonus damage from the Archon, and it's also very short ranged, so it loses also hard against the Archon. The Reaper, that's of course a fight that we don't see in the real game, but I also wanted to include it. And the Reaper also loses against the Archon. And then we look at the blue bars. So the Archon loses pretty hard against the tank in siege mode. So that's, I think, just because the tank has such a long range. So the tank only deals bonus damage to armored, which the Archon is not, but just the range of 13, the tank is always going to get 3 hits on the Archon, whereas the Archon only has a short range of 3, so the tank in tank mode destroys the Archon. Thor, also interesting, the Thors beat the Archon without losing one Thor. I think that's also because, number one, the Archon doesn't have bonus damage to the Thor. Thor is not biological, and the Thor also has a range advantage. The Thor has a range of 7, so the Thor always is going to get a lot of free hits before the Archon can get in range. Widowmine is also an interesting one. The Widowmine beats the Archon. So number one, the Widowmine doesn't take bonus damage from the Archon, but on the other hand, the Widowmine has a very nice bonus damage to shields, and the Archon is almost entirely shields, so the Archon takes a lot of damage from the Widowmine. Also, the Widowmine has a range of 5, Archon only has range 3, that's also good. The Battlecruiser also wins against the Archon. The Battlecruiser is just very tanky. It survives for a long time in the battle. It doesn't take bonus damage from the Archon. And the Ghost also wins very hard against the Archon. So that's of course because of the EMP. So you saw in the video I made use of EMP, and all my Ghosts were full energy. So that's maybe also not a real game scenario. If you have less EMPs than I did, or maybe if you don't have any EMPs at all, the Ghost loses pretty hard to the Archon. But with EMP is like a hard counter to the Archon, again, because the Archon is almost entirely shields. Each EMP takes off 100 shields. The Liberator also destroyed the Archon in the test, so I mean, the Liberator is a unit that has a very good damage output, and it also has a very high range. So in the test, a couple of the Archons were destroyed before they could even get in the range. So yeah, I think the range and the very good damage output is the main thing that makes the Liberator strong. Raven, okay, this was maybe also not a realistic scenario because I dropped the auto turrets, and the auto turrets are immobile. So in a real game scenario, the Archon could just move away until the auto turrets expire. But if you have enough auto turrets, the auto turrets can beat the Archon. So that's also pretty interesting. And the Cyclone, of course, also beat the Archon, but that's also only because I used micro. So usually I want to show the A-move scenario without any micro, but the Cyclone is one of these units that is like almost completely useless without micro, so I decided to use micro for the Cyclone. And if you are good at kiting, you can kite the Archon and destroy the Archon. But if you just have A-moved, the Archon would also have 1. But yeah, alright dudes, that's very interesting. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.